What's up, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, home of the Eastern Conference champions. And boy, oh boy, do we have ourselves a preview today because, ladies and gentlemen, back for a second preview of the NBA Finals. It is your boy, the Facho, man. Randy Savage, aka Michael Facci. Facci, how's it going, brother?
Oh man, this is the calm before the storm. Like I just feel like, hey, I'm not one to really do much recording on the weekends, like a Saturday or something like that. But this is it. Tomorrow is the biggest game of our lives. Think about that. I thought about it earlier. It doesn't get any bigger than this, and it never will. This is game seven for the championship. Like, there's no beating this. At times, I might kind of be like, I'm doing something random. I go, wow, tomorrow's the biggest game that'll ever happen. And it just sucks me into like, all right, hey, am I nervous? Am I excited? This, and you know what? I weirdly kind of feel all right. I feel
Oh
confident
no, that's not
going
a
into
good
this seven.
sign.
I don't know. You maybe you tell me, but I'm not shaking in my boots right now. We belong.
Yeah, I'm not shaking in my boots because I think at this point, it's the season finale.
Yeah.
No matter what, win or lose, like there's not another chance for another game, no matter what, right? So I think that's what kind of makes it exciting a little bit, just because like we're in the finale, we went as far as we could go, and
Yep.
we have a chance to win this thing. That's kind of where I'm at a little bit, but still, just like the results of like the fact that you're here, like nobody wants to get to this point and lose,
No, came too far. Came way
right?
too far. I'm not happy to just be here. We
Right.
gotta win it all.
And I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just like if we lose, like I'm not gonna say it's a disappointing season. I'm not gonna say like, oh, I'm mad they lost, blah blah, screw the Pacers, anything like that. Like this is incredible. This is
No.
like so incredible. We're talking on a Saturday night at 8:30, excited about this, right?
June
Like
21st right now. I mean, think about this. Like the
the
draft is
draft
in
is
a couple of
Wednesday.
days. That's how crazy things
Oh
are right
man.
now. But here we are.
Somebody asked me, they're like, when's the NBA draft? I was like, oh, it's in a couple weeks. I was like, no, actually, it's in a couple days.
Yep.
It's unreal. It really is unreal. But I will say it's an incredible moment to be here. But yeah, I'm not gonna be satisfied if they lose. Like I'm gonna be like, oh man, they had a great year. Like I'm not gonna be mad, but I'm going to be disappointed. I mean, that's kind of how I'm going to feel. Like, of course, you get this close, you don't want to lose it. So that's where I'm at. But you said it though. This doesn't feel like one of those like, pit of your stomach, like hurts really bad, like really nervous. I think every OKC fan's got to feel this way. They're the ones that are
They should.
probably nervous about what's going to happen. I'm sure there's some of them talking a big game to themselves to try to like calm those nerves down, saying, "Oh, we're the Thunder. We got this. We got this in seven. They've not done anything against us at home except the lucky win in game one. We're good. We've been the dominant team. Whatever." I don't know. I think Rick Carlisle found some things that worked, and that look that Rick Carlisle had on his face today during pregame or pre-practice or post-practice media sessions when he said, "I love pressure." Did you hear him say that? Oh my God, I
Yeah.
got a tingle down my spine when I heard that.
I mean, this is a man who, like we said before, it feels he's playing chess. He's made the moves, just along the way, he's made the changes that Indiana has needed to make. And he's been here before. He's been in these championship type of series. This is Rick. This is the guy that you want in this type of series. So I feel like when you're going back to the pressure on OKC, the saying is ain't mean a thing without the ring. So I feel
What
like
was
you
that again?
ain't mean a thing without the ring,
Ain't mean a thing without
you
the
know.
ring.
And that's how it is. You think of like the Golden State Warriors and they won 73 games and they didn't win the championship. It's hard to then, crown them as one of the all-time greats or, teams or anything of that sort if you don't get it done in the end. So a great regular season could totally be forgotten about if the Thunder do not pull this out. But for the Pacers on the other end, I've heard people talking about big, national media saying this could go down as the biggest underdog team of all time. This
Yeah,
could be one that they look back and they say, arguably the most unprobable, NBA champion ever. Like the team that no one expected this. They would be only the third, fourth seed or lower to ever win it, but the first to not be a defending champion. I read it was the 1969 Celtics and it was the 1995 Houston Rockets. So those teams had been there before. Indiana has not. So this is really unbelievable. If they end up winning their eighth road win, that would be the second most road victories, in a playoff run in NBA history. And they've also been the underdog in so many of these games. And like we've said before, or I know it's been brought up, no coach in NBA playoff history has more wins as an underdog than Rick Carlisle. That's
mm,
the guy you want going into game seven on the road, being able to slay the giant, however you want to put it. This is the man that's going to have the boys in position to get this done.
I'm telling you, man, Rick Carlisle has been
Oh
unbelievable
my God.
these playoffs. If anybody complains about him next year and we win a championship, I'm going to lose
I
my
know.
mind.
I don't want to hear
Fire
about a
Rick.
loss in November and talking about firing him because we like blow a game to like the Bulls or like the Hornets or something like that. It's like
Why do we always refer to the
always
Bulls
the
and the
Hornets.
Hornets
It's always like a loss to the
every
Hornets, like
time?
the breaking point for this franchise. But I read that this is going to be the 105th game of the year. There's a lot of games
Wow.
that happen, and every game can't be make or break. This happens to be the biggest game ever. But at the same point, look, I'm excited for it, and I don't feel like OKC is as big as they were before. Like I just feel like we're getting a look at them now, saying, you ain't so bad. You ain't the biggest bully in town. We can do this. It's 3-3. Indiana has been an underdog in every game in this series. So being an underdog one more time really doesn't faze me.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on OKC.
A
And
lot.
you got the MVP, you got the number one team in the league all year long
Hmm.
on their home court. They just got blown out. They were down by 30, had to pull all their starters in the fourth quarter. Maybe that was a wake up call for their starters. Hey,
Maybe.
you didn't even get a chance to play in the fourth quarter. You're getting beat that bad. Okay. Are you going to match that level of intensity? Like, that's what I'd be saying if I was Dagnall. But did you hear what Dagnall said when asked about going up against Rick Carlisle as a
No.
coach?
Okay.
So Dustin Dopirak asked the question and he tweeted it out. And Mark Dagnall said, let me make sure I say this right. I don't have the tweet up, so I'm really mad at myself that I'm butchering this because it's really bad. But anyway, what he said is one word, and that's what I was going to say. It's one word. He said humbled. Mark Dagnall said he is
Wow.
humbled by
Humble.
coaching against Rick Carlisle, and I mean that just kind of goes to your point about Rick Carlisle's got him on his heels. He's already made how many lineup changes? Come
Yep.
on.
Yep. Quite a few. I mean, hey, Hartenstein going in and out, whatever it is. But I said that coming into the series. It's not to say a rookie head coach. He's not, but he's never been on this level before. It's a really young team. It's a young head coach. And this is now you're running into a Pacers team that, while they're not the most veteran team in the league, like this is their second year going on a deep run. There's a lot of chemistry with this group. Rick's been around the block, won a ring before. I like what I'm seeing from this team. I just feel like the fact that they were able to stay alive. I feel like that we've seen that some of those teams that when they win game 7, it's the same team that won game 6. It's like that sticks. It's just like something clicks where it's like, you get the job done. But I heard Jalen Williams say something like win or lose. It's like, well, no, I don't if that's a Pacer player, I wouldn't want to hear that in the vocabulary. It's win. That's it. That
He
you
said,
gotta
"Win or lose, we're making history.
yeah,
We're
that's
part of history."
yeah, I wouldn't even want to have anyone doing that. Just to hear something funny, I don't know how the Knicks keep coming up in this. I'm bringing them up
Oh,
this.
come on,
But the
Botch.
Knicks tweeted out the other day. This is crazy. They tweeted out and go first day of summer, and it was like, and it showed all their players in like the pool or doing some traveling. And I'm like, if that was my team in June, I never want to see them ever tweet out anything about our players being on vacation. Like we are still playing meaningful basketball right now. There is no win or. It's we gotta win. This is how you become immortalized. There's been a bunch of good Pacer teams. This would be then head and shoulders, arguably the greatest Pacer team because this would be the one getting it done. And we talked about before, hey, you want to get your jersey, retired in the rafters outside of Reggie Miller, you got to be a champion. This is how this opens it up for like Tyrese Haliburton could very well cement the legacy as what could go down as the greatest Pacer of all time when it's all said and done. But this game 7, this is where legends are truly made.
Yeah, there's a lot of different directions I want to go with all that stuff because I feel like it's kind of interesting conversation, but I don't think we should do it pre winning a
Yeah.
championship. So we
No,
have plenty of time
we
to
do.
talk about that. So let me ask you this because we saw an incredible defensive performance by the Pacers in game 6.
Immaculate. Unbelievable.
What are you kind of expecting from that defense in game 7? Are you expecting them to be able to play at that level that they played at home?
I hope so. I know, look, we know OKC's crowd has brought it all the time. You also got to imagine that OKC is going to make some of the adjustments. The Pacers were, like we said, they weren't picking up, they weren't doing like the whole full court pressure as much as they were, in games 1 to 5. So I think It was Caitlin Cooper. The stat that she had thrown out there that was really good was basically saying that through games 1 through 5, on average, the Pacers were picking up the Thunder on defense like 56.9 feet away from the basket. In game 6, it was 41.4 feet out. So, making it more of like a half court style. So I trust that obviously OKC is going to be watching film. They're going to know how to try and get past that. But if you're the Pacers, it worked. Try and do it again. And I think that really helped limit some open shots. It helped limit, OKC kind of getting through some broken defense and getting points in transition. So I think Indiana needs to lean into what worked, but just with anything, and Rick, you got to continue to add wrinkles because you got to expect OKC will make the changes.
No, they're going to make changes, and that was one of the conversations I had with Brett Evans yesterday. He said, "What is the counter to the counter?" Right?
Yeah,
Like that's the big thing. Like, do they have something up their sleeve? And I don't know if you saw Draymond Green's podcast or now with Baron Davis talking about what the Pacers could do differently.
no,
But
but tell me.
basically, he was saying like, don't leave any of the shooters open. Like, stay glued to them. Send doubles to Jalen Williams, but basically just stay on SGA's like, I think he said right side, and make SGA score like 45 to 50 points to beat you. And don't let the shooters get off. He said because if Cason Wallace gets 12 and Caruso gets 14 and Dort gets this and whatever, like you're
Yeah,
going to lose that game.
I
He's
agree,
like,
man.
and he's like, but if you can kind of shade it to where it's all of them, being protected by like or being defended by the Pacers and forcing SGA to put up a bunch of shots. Because I will say this, like, yeah, the double teams have been very helpful, but I also think Andrew Nemhard's done a heck of a job as a solo defender on him. And someone was reading me the stats or showed me the stats the other day of what the numbers are when SGA, or excuse me, when Nemhard's the primary defender on SGA. It might have been my father-in-law today. We were talking about it. He saw a stat somewhere. I thought that was really interesting. Like he's not shooting the ball very well at all with Nemhard on him. I think he's actually got more turnovers than made baskets or something like that with him on him. I don't know exactly,
Of
but
that, quick question: father-in-law carrying the shovel around? Did he
well, he's on
finish
Facebook, so
that?
that's a little bit of a problem, right? And I had to tell him, he's like, "What's up with all these accounts?" Saying like, "Oh, Chet Holmgren found for." I'm like, "Okay, these are all so fake. Like,
Yeah,
these are the ones that are like in the group chats that are just so like terrible clickbait stuff." But anyway, I'm rambling here, but my whole point is, I agree with what Draymond's saying. Like last game in Game 6, you kind of were like, "Hey, let the role guys beat us." Now I think maybe the counter to that, make the stars beat us again. Don't let the role players get hot and comfortable at home because put the pressure on SGA because there's already so much pressure on him anyway. Same with J-Dub. There's so much pressure and they're so
a
young.
lot, a lot, and just I figured we would make our way here eventually, but like in 2 of those 3 wins for OKC, I mentioned before, Caruso dropped 20 points. In 2 of those 3 wins for OKC, Aaron Wiggins has scored 14 and 18. So yeah, to your point, it's some of those role players when they get going. When you have a Cason Wallace hitting like 4 threes or Lou Dort chipping in those threes, it's really, really tough. So I would rather this be a game that SGA, goes off for 35 or more, but like doesn't really have the type of help. So I think it's going to be really crucial for Indiana to be able to kind of shut down some of those role players. Guys like Chet have had a rough series, but it feels like a two-man show. And I saw that coming into Game 6, SGA and Jalen Williams were averaging like the 5th most points per game between any duo in NBA Finals history. It was crazy. Those two have really killed it. But at the same point, you don't know on any given night what you're going to get from anyone else. And on the flip side, it's Indiana, like we mentioned, right after Game 6, 8 players scoring 200 or more has never been done.
Yeah.
It's a deep team right now that, you have a lot of guys that are contributing, but it's also just a lot of guys that you feel that you can count on for the most part. So, and another point, I know you talked about, hey, trying to force SGA one way. I saw an interesting stat coming in the last game that Tyrese Haliburton didn't have a made shot on the left side. He ended up
Yeah.
hitting one in Game 6, but it's just like everyone's got one of those, hey, force them this way, but these are really talented players that are going to get to their spots. So you could only hope and try, but at the end of the day, those 2 guys are all NBA players for a reason.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out real quick because Kurt Goldsberry said that on the Zach Lowe show, talking about Tyrese only shooting on the right side and said that he would have a graph out for it later on the Ringer. And then all of a sudden, I see NBA University and all these other websites starting to share that stat before Kirk put it out. And I'm like, okay, guys, you got this from Kirk. You're basically stealing what he said on the podcast and putting it out there for yourself. And I just thought he didn't say anything about it. He's not caring about what people think. I just thought it was funny. that nobody's bringing this up until he says it on a
Of
podcast. Now
course.
everybody brings it up. It's just like, oh, okay, like you didn't hear that from somewhere else. Like at least give credit to where you heard it from. But I thought that was a great stat as well because that was before game six, right? And so in game six, I would like to go back and maybe see where Tyrese scored from. I don't really have the shot chart in front of me, but I do think that he was kind of all over the place in terms of trying to get shots up. And I liked the aggressive version of Tyrese Haliburton. And I think that's what we're going to have to see in game seven. And I think the Pacers have to be ready for even more applied pressure from Lou Dort, from Caruso. I have a hunch that the Thunder will change the starting five. I think Caruso does start for game seven. That's my gut feeling.
Could see that. I have nothing to. It's the first time I'm hearing it. First time I've really thought about it. But like, it would probably be a good move.
It's
I would.
been their best five. It's been
Yeah.
their best
Yeah.
five. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's been like their best five in terms of plus minus, but from
Yeah.
what I've seen with the eye test, that to me has been their best five.
Mhm.
And if they can get Caruso going, a guy that's actually played in a championship game before to win a title, even though it was the bubble, he's the only one that has experience. So it makes sense to start him instead of bringing him off the bench and going double big because we've talked about the inconsistencies from Chet. We've talked about Hartenstein being hit or miss in certain areas. I don't know. I just think that they've not been afraid to make changes to the starting five before, and by them kind of showing their hand there in that second half, I think they might go back to it.
That would be interesting. And look, if it does happen, I'll make sure to tip my hat to you and say, hey, I heard it here
Speaking of
first.
that hat,
Hey, look, hey, my wife got it for Father's Day, so
does that bill look a little big, or is that just the angle you're at?
nah, I think it's just the angle. I think it's just,
Okay,
but
like you're
yeah,
swimming in that hat, bro.
no, no, no. I mean, I just got a haircut, so I got a little
Maybe
bit less
that's
to
what it
go around.
is. Do
Yeah,
you wear your hats
probably.
backwards ever?
Not really.
So
Yeah,
Colin Cowherd would approve of you to date his daughter.
yeah. He would. He would probably approve of me dating his daughter or whatever. I've heard him do those. I've heard him talk about that. But
The
yeah,
backwards hat kind of guys.
yeah, exactly. Look, I'm not as young as I used to be. I keep the head forward. You know how it is. But at the same point, my wife was like, "Ah, I knew once you bought that NBA Finals hat, I already had this hat ordered for Father's Day." I was like, you know what? Hey, I could always use another hat. So
What's
now,
wrong with two hats?
exactly. So now I got quite a few Pacer hats. But yeah, no, it's feeling
At
pretty
least your
fresh.
wife got you something Pacer related. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Mine
No,
didn't get me anything Pacer related, so
oh man, well, hey, I'm sure you got something. I'm sure you got something. So
nice
I,
little
I got a
something,
nice
something.
I got a nice shirt that said dad in like Mets themed letters as well. So I got the
Man,
shirt, I got the
yeah.
hat. Actually, and this was actually pretty cool. I don't even think you'd be able to really see this, but it's a trading card of my family. It says the Facci fam. It's like a rookie card on the back. There's a picture of my dog Indy. It was just pretty cool. It's
Dude,
like a
these are
one
sick
of one.
gifts.
I know. I was really touched by the card
Wow.
because I've always loved sports cards. So
That's
hey,
really nice.
babe, I'm sure you're listening. Maybe tomorrow. Little insight over here. My daughter loves to watch us in the morning. She says, "Dada show, Dada show." She gets to watch us. I've shared this with you before. It's awesome. Makes her so happy. So for me, I know that's one of those where we'll probably end up watching this tomorrow. So it'll be cool.
So, Maddie, I just want to say it's so good to talk to you today. Thank you for
Yep.
tuning into the show, Maddie. And can you give us a Let's Go Pacers in the living room? We want to hear it.
We very well will have to kind of weave that. Chuck and Jamie, I know you guys are listening. I remember we had your baby hitting us with a "Let's Go Pacers" back in the day. So always love to reward our fellow listeners. Maddie, she's definitely one of our biggest fans.
Well, she's your daughter, so get a recording of her on the pod by yourself and send it to me, and we'll put it in there. I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know what I'm doing either. I've talked
Come
with Amy
on.
about that. So yeah, that's a must. So hey,
Okay.
I'm excited about that. But yeah, look, going back to this game, a couple of things that I got. A couple
I'm
of
all
things.
over the place tonight, Foch. I'm sorry.
It is all good. So a couple things I was looking at. So, one, we can go with SGA. So for SGA, in the three wins, he's averaging 12 free throw attempts per game. And their three losses, just 7.3 free throw attempts. So it's a big difference of almost
Yeah.
five less free throw attempts, which means that in those games, hey, he's either not getting the calls, the Pacers are playing good defense without fouling, and to take it one step further, SGA has in their three wins 18 assists to just seven turnovers. All right. But in their three losses, seven assists to 16 turnovers. A big difference when he's turning the ball over and not getting to the free throw line. I know it's a lot to kind of hope for, but we've seen that's kind of been the recipe is like he has not protected the ball well in losses, and he has not been able to get to the free throw line either in those losses.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. And we'll see. I think. I think how this game is officiated
It's
is
going to
going
tell a lot.
to,
Yes.
kind of determine a lot because I was cracking up. I don't know if you saw this or not, but like during the game and then after the game, how many OKC fans were complaining about the lack of non-calls against the Pacers in game 6? And so I just casually tweeted, I said, they're just doing what OKC has been doing all series long,
Yeah.
Because I mean, go back and watch game 4. I mean, Lou Dort shoved Tyrese Haliburton out of bounds. He got him
I mean,
pushing him at the free throw line.
yeah.
And like
Nothing.
some of the stuff they were showing, I'm like, this is even like so much minor than compared to what they were doing. So I don't want to hear it. Just be honest with you. But anyway, that's just kind of where I'm at. Um, with you in terms of like just go out there and try to play physical basketball and see how the officials call it because the last thing you want to do is play a really physical defensive style of play and then all of a sudden you got Scott Foster and the boys out there calling fouls on tic tac stuff when Jalen Williams or SGA is going. I don't think they're going to do that.
Game 7, like this is it. I just don't think that this is going to be a game that is just like, oh man, the refs ruined this game. Like, yeah, I still remember, and I know I'm, using probably a bad analogy, but I still remember, Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl where I remember they threw that flag on like an Eagles defender towards the end that just set Patrick Mahomes up for like the game-winning field goal, and I felt like that play kind of ruined that Super Bowl where it was like, how are you gonna like leave it in the refs' hands? So I hope this is not gonna be a game that, OKC shooting like 40 free throws or anything, or we go, wow, you know what? Like the refs really control this one. I think they're going to let them play, but at the same point, hey, we'll only be able to determine that. There isn't a game to extend this to. Sometimes if it's a game 5 or 6, maybe you could see some calls that could, kind of look a little shady to extend a series. There ain't nothing to extend. So I'm hoping they just let the boys play. But another thing that a stat that I got for you is, there's been a big difference in terms of, the outlier was game 1 where Indiana had 25 turnovers, but essentially in this series, in the games that have been in OKC, it's ugly in terms of the turnovers. I mean, Indiana averages 21 turnovers per game in the 3 games that they've played in Oklahoma City. So, and then when Indiana's winning their last 2 wins, just 11 and a half turnovers.
Hmm.
So obviously we know, hey, if you protect the rock, you should probably win a game. But at the same point, Indiana has a win where they did not. But it comes down to like you wouldn't feel great about it if the Pacers turn the ball over 20 times again in OKC.
No, they got to protect the basketball, and I think that's why I'm talking about Tyrese being more aggressive, not picking your dribble up too early, not
Exactly.
trying to like deflect and give the ball to Nimhard to let him do everything. Like I'm sure there's times when you can do that, but like you got to be strong with the basketball and not necessarily be TJ McConnell, but like have that lack of have that like force within you,
Yeah.
like have that
Motive.
ability to
Go
not
for
be
it.
afraid and get in there. And one of the things that people ask me all the time, like how come McConnell just does it? How come he can just get to where he wants to get to? First of all, it's just the way he plays.
Yeah.
He's just like relentless, but nobody guards him within like 10 feet of the 3 point line. So like most
That's
guys are
true.
picking him up at like the free throw line and they're like daring him to shoot. Imagine if Tyrese had that much room to work with. You know what I mean? Like he's
He could.
getting picked up as soon as he's touching half court. And Lou Dort is like a 6'5" linebacker,
Yep.
out there guarding him like he's a tight end that's super skinny. It's not a like one of those things where Tyrese can just go in there and be super physical, but I think he needs to be aggressive. And
Yes.
I think they've found certain ways to attack OKC's defense at times, but be ready for the counter, be ready for what they're going to do at home, feeling more confident in their building, but just stay poised and don't be afraid to be aggressive because I think that when you take your foot off the gas, especially in a game 7, you can't do that. You have to be pedal to the metal. Game 7 in the Garden, Tyrese Haliburton. Find someone in the crowd to chirp with. Do
I
whatever
know.
you got to
Like,
do.
how do you get him going? How does Tyrese go out there and have like that chip on his shoulder? Like, create your own bulletin board material. Like, I almost want someone to go on the on ESPN, Stephen A, and start barking him up, start calling him overrated. Do what you got to do to just kind of get under his skin and make him want to prove something. Because this is like Tyrese will regret it for a lifetime if this is one of those games where he's got like 8 points going in the fourth quarter or something like this. It's like, no, this is a lay it all on the line, like really truly build your legacy type of game. Game sevens for fairness or not is a lot of players are always going to be judged by what you do on the biggest stage in the biggest game, and he's rose to the occasion many, many times. He really
Mhm.
has when Tyrese has been doubted. I think he can do it one more time. We know he's hurt. We know he's battling through this. We got nothing but respect for him, but go out there, play your best ball, do what you can, and you can bask in this glory for a lifetime. In the wins, Tyrese has 23 assists to just 8 turnovers. In the losses, 19 assists to 13 turnovers. If he can't score 20 or more, how does he get this offense going?
Mhm.
How can he get to double digit assists and protect the rock? We've seen Tyrese have flawless games where he's had 10 assists, no turnovers, or anything like that. How could you be under two turnovers? Anything along those lines. I think that Tyrese, if he can protect the rock, but also get some shots up. We've seen if he can get 15 shots up, great things tend to happen. You don't need to say, hey, just jack up 15 or 20, but like look for your shot. Look for your shot. That is the big thing. When you mentioned picking up his dribble, past, behind the 3-point line, that tends to not be good for this offense. So I'm hoping that Tyrese knows, he knows obviously what's at stake, but like you gotta be aggressive from the start. Like you said, please pick the fan out. Please pick the fan out, make it personal. And from there, he's gonna be all right.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I will say one more thing just to kind of not make Tyrese like just the focal point.
Yeah. No,
I think that you have to get Siakam going early.
of course.
This is to me basic, but especially if they want to go small, excuse me, if they want to go small, I think you have to find ways to get him the basketball early on. We talked about it last game. The Pacers didn't go to him. They got down 10-2 early. All of a sudden, he finally gets a basket, gets an and one after that. Now it's 10-7. Now it's a Nembhard three in the corner. They score two, then Nembhard hits another three. But it was Pascal that kind of got this offense going. And if you can establish him as a low post threat, especially if I think they're going to go smaller with J Dub on him, number one, you maybe put J Dub in foul trouble if he does try to like
Nice.
get physical with Pascal in the post, or Pascal just does what he does best and he scores in weird ways and makes it hard for Jalen Williams to guard him. And I think it could almost just be like a mental thing for J Dub as well as a young player. If you're playing tough defense on Pascal and he gets 2 to 3 buckets right away, now you're kind of like, oh my God, he's going to score everything tonight. Like just rattle him a little bit. But I want to get your best offensive weapon going early. And I
Yes.
think this will take the pressure off Tyrese a little bit if you can say, all right, we're going to put everything on the back of the guy that's been here before and that's won a championship with the Toronto Raptors, who played a big role in that. Obviously, wasn't the key guy, but played a huge role in that series, had some big games, and he's been the best version of himself in his career this postseason run. So I know you're asking a lot of Pascal, but this is why you traded for him, Foch. And I think
It is.
they need Pascal to be elite level Pascal Siakam to win this game.
No, they really do, and I think that he can deliver. I feel like Pascal's not someone that I'm worried about in this series. Like I really do think. So I'm actually looking at it right now. I wanted to pull this up to be exact. Pascal Siakam in the closeout NBA Finals game against the Golden State Warriors. 26 points, 10 boards, 3 of 6 from 3-point line, 10 of 17 overall in the closeout victory. To me, this is a man, and it was game 6. This is a man that's been there before and he is ready for this moment. The Thunder Taker, as we saw that they're calling him. It's an unbelievable nickname, just awesome stuff. That picture's been going viral. Obviously your tweet, you gave the guy credit, like it blowing up.
Thank you for
Awesome.
letting me know that because I was about to like, I don't want to hear any crap from anybody saying I stole the photo.
No, 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 no,
I've
no.
seen a lot of other people post it and not tag anybody.
Yeah, no. You gave the guy credit. I even saw he thanked you for that. It was awesome
He's
stuff.
a Pacer fan. It's
Yeah,
Alacon. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it was awesome stuff. You know me. I love a good, wrestling reference. Any type of wrestling pacer, collaboration is right up my alley. But
Eh,
Siakam's going to be ready to deliver.
I tell you what, Pascal has done a very good job of, doing things for Halloween, right? Like who he
Yes,
dresses up as.
it's got to be next.
If he does the Undertaker, if they win this NBA Finals next year for Halloween,
It's going to be electric.
that would be amazing. I
Yeah,
mean, and what's so funny is we've used the Undertaker so many times in
have.
this playoff run. I thought, how fitting is this? Like, I got excited when I saw that. You know how I am. I'm just stupid about this kind of stuff. But Tyrese Haliburton wore his Undertaker shoes. He debuted them
Yep.
against the Bucks in Game 5 when he had the game winner. You were in Madison Square Garden for
Mhm.
Game 1. You broke the streak. And we talk about the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak being the most unbreakable streak ever. Facci breaks the streak, and you do a whole entire 90-second video telling everybody about the moment. And who did I play? I played the Undertaker theme song
Yep.
below it.
No, that's
And now
true.
we got the Thundertaker. Is this a season of destiny or what?
It really is, and that's why we just gotta finish the job. Like this season has been so like miraculous of just like anytime you count this team out, like hey, here they come. That what do we got left? What's left in the bag to kind of pull this out? And I tweeted out saying like, hey, like who needs to step up in this game? And a lot of people did
Step
say
up.
Myles Turner, and yeah. And look, I think for Turner, yeah, he does need to step up. If you have a big game 7, I'm sorry, everything's forgotten about. Everything
I
is
know.
forgotten about.
I'm
But why
just.
not? He's got to have one in him, right? He's got to have one. Dude, I saw something where,
I've said it 3 games in a row. He has
I
not done
know, but
anything.
you can't be more due than this. You can't be more due. This is where if Turner delivers in a game 7, like I said, you push the contract towards him and you say, send it back whenever you're ready. What you can fill out whatever you want, just get it done. But like come on, we need you. We need you now. The longest tenured pacer. He's been with us for 10 plus years. I don't want to say that everyone will remember what happens in game 7, but there will be a memory of like this is how you really do solidify your career as a pacer. If you bring a ring here and you were here for the 10 previous years, that's when people say that where you go from all of a sudden, hey, is his number going to get retired? Because people said that like, Rick Smits, great pacer, okay, but he never won a championship, but he was with the Pacers for a long time. But this is where Turner now enters that category. Like we said, we'll save this for another episode of like legacies, but that becomes a question that you could honestly ask, and it's not a ridiculous answer.
I hope that somebody showed Myles Turner that tweet that I read on the post game show the other night, where him, Chet, and Patrick Ewing have the third
Yeah.
worst,
Nope.
top 3 worst field goal percentages from a center in the NBA Finals history. I hope somebody showed him that, and that
I
it
hope.
really just ticks him the heck off.
I
Because
hope.
what would be absolutely glorious is if for some reason he goes like 5 of 7 from three
Oh
in
my God.
game 7. I mean, that would just be electric. And so he gets 15 points from three, from the 3 point land. That would be huge for Indiana to have a chance to win this game. I've been banging the table like he's got to play better. He's got to be
Absolutely.
effective. He hasn't had one of those breakout games, and he usually has them at home, but he's been, putting up duds offensively.
I
One
know.
of nine, and
One
the
of
only bucket he made
I was about to say
was a
that.
wide open dunk from Nimhard.
No one was even remotely near him. It was just laid it in. Like that was not like, oh hey, nice shot, Miles. That was like that would have been impossible to miss. So yeah, the man is due. And it's just like you talk about Patrick Ewing being in that group. Patrick Ewing, for those of you if you don't remember, didn't play in the NBA Finals against the Spurs in '99. That was the only shot that he got in '94 against the Houston Rockets. And
Hmm.
to shoot like 36%.
But who was he going against?
I mean, Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean, look,
Yes.
you could say that that's like okay, you're going up against Dream. Myles Turner's going up against a young, twig of a man in Chet Holmgren. And look, I don't mean that
And
just
Isaiah Hartenstein. Come
that's
on, these
yeah,
aren't these aren't Hakeem Olajuwon level players.
exactly, exactly. But it's like for Ewing, when people say, "Oh yeah, he was really good, but never won a ring," that was his shot. He played really bad in the series that meant the most for Turner to like. This is cement your legacy as a pacer, for life. You sign this contract, you get a championship done. You sign this contract, you have that opportunity to retire as a pacer, potentially have your jersey hung in the rafters when it's all said and done. Whatever it is, all it takes is one game. Everybody will forget about games 1 through 6, absolutely, but they will never forget about game 7 if you get this done.
I mean, just think about all the stuff that we saw in Game 7 against the Lakers, or excuse me, the Lakers. LeBron's got my mind. The Cavs and the Warriors, right?
Yep.
Just think about that. Nobody really remembers anything from that series except for Draymond Green getting the technical foul to get him suspended for Game 5 when it was a 3-1 series and everybody thought they were going to win. And then the last two things you remember is LeBron James blocking Iguodala and
Yep.
Kyrie Irving's shot. Nobody else remembers anything else from that series unless you're a fan of both teams.
It's
So,
true.
or like a basketball sicko, right? Like you don't realize how like insane LeBron was games 5, 6, and 7, averaging like a triple double with 35 points. Like that nobody really thinks about that. They just think about that block because that's LeBron's moment. Like that's his biggest moment in NBA history is that block. even though it wasn't really like the game saving play, but it kind
Yeah.
of was. It was just
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. It was big. It was big. But yeah, no, it's so true. I couldn't pick out anything that happened in game two, three, four, anything like that. It's like
No.
this is what it's all about. Like there are players that will be immortalized for what they do in game seven. And for both teams, like you could say, well, they're both young and they have their core, like they'll be back. But will they? You never know. You truly never know. Look at the Toronto Raptors. You can definitely say it was a different situation. Toronto Raptors won that championship, and then that was it. There's plenty. There's plenty of other teams. The Phoenix Suns. Maybe that's a good example. The Phoenix Suns looked like they were on the rise for a while, and they lost in the championship. And now all of a sudden they got a bunch of guys. They're about to trade off a bunch of guys. Like who knows what's ever going to happen with them. So for the Pacers, nothing is ever promised. For OKC, sure, it looks like you have this long run, but they probably said that the last time that OKC was in the NBA Finals with Durant, Harden, and Westbrook, and it had been now over 10 years, before they got back. So nothing's promised. Game 7, this is something that for better or worse, we will always remember, but we just hope we're on the right side of history. And we'll have a whole episode looking back on the season and everything of that sort, but I'm not ready to look in the past yet. I just want to live in this moment and know that 24 hours from now, where actually the game's going to be on, it could be one of the greatest moments that we've ever experienced across all of our sports fandom, life, however you want to put it. It's going to mean a lot, and we just hope that it's something worth celebrating.
If the Pacers were to win a championship, I have to ask you this.
We got.
How are you going to respond emotionally?
To be honest, I had tears in my eyes when they beat the Knicks and they were going to the finals. That meant a lot. I did. I'm not afraid to say it. My eyes started tearing up, and I went, "Wow, you know what? I'm buying my
I
ticket
love
right
this
now."
team.
Yeah, I love them. I really do. It's a big part of my life. I've told you guys before. My dog is named Indy. I don't live in Indiana. That's how much it means to me. Like to have to follow this team as much as I do while not living in the state means that it has always been such a big part of me. If they were to win a championship, I can't even put into words what it would mean because my whole life I was told that it would never happen by living in the market that I live in New York, people have said you guys are never gonna like actually spend what's needed to win a championship. You're never gonna attract big name free agents. Who's gonna want to go there like this? They made it seem like it was always like we were gonna be running this race that was never gonna be able to cross the finish line. Yet here we are. A non-tax paying team. We're not a second apron team. We're not signing, LeBron James or all this. We're doing it the right way going about this. And I think that if the Pacers get this done, man, I'm telling you, there's going to be tears coming down this face. There really is. But I want to throw the question back at you. You don't need to tell me that there's going to be tears, but what would it mean to you to get this done?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one that really cries very often. I might get a little teary-eyed because I'm going to be in Gainbridge Fieldhouse with however
I was
many fans
wondering
are
if
going to
you
be there.
if you got the tickets or not, or if you were
I
tweeting
did.
out
I was
asking
able to
for
get
it.
one.
Okay,
David was able to pick me one up, which was great.
that's nice.
And so I was able to help others get some tickets as well. That's why I was asking as well, because I wanted to make sure that people that didn't get it, if I could somehow have any connections to get other people tickets, I wanted to help them out as well. So I was able to get quite a few people some extra tickets. So if I didn't see your tweet or didn't get a hold of you, I do apologize, but I did try to help some people out. With that being said, I will definitely be emotional. I'm very good at hiding my emotions, which is not a good thing, but I just kind of bottle everything in. And so if I'm in the arena with everybody and I see people kind of reacting and crying, like it might make me cry as well. Like it's gonna be so surreal, dude. And I can't imagine. Like I never envisioned this in my life. Like especially at this point with this team, like for them to be one game away, like that to me, I still can't believe it's here. I cannot believe that this is the last post game show we're going to do, no
I
matter
know,
what this season.
crazy.
And that's what makes it so fun and so exciting and so nerve-wracking because there's so many emotions you're feeling right now. And I just want to see Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Haliburton, and Rick Carlisle hoist that trophy up. Myles Turner hoist that trophy up because there have been so many emotional moments throughout all those guys' careers, but especially Miles with 10 years of this team, just up and down, should they trade him, should they not trade him? And then obviously being able to break out and have some awesome seasons the last couple of years with Tyrese and Pascal, like it's just been so much fun. And like this Pacers team is like a great story of how you can rebuild on the fly. How
Absolutely.
you don't have to completely bottom out to just get top players. When you find the right guys that fit your team and that fit the culture you're trying to build, guys that will play for one another, a Benedict Mathurin who definitely wants to play more, accepting his role and saying, you know what, I might only play 10 minutes tonight. I might not be a starter, but when I come in for 10 minutes, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. That to me is important. You've got a guy like Myles Turner, been here for 10 years, right? He's struggling offensively. Obi Toppin's been on fire offensively for this Pacers team. What does he do? He's a soldier, baby. He's out there cheering on Obi Toppin. He's not hanging his head, and he's like, "Let's go Pacers." So that to me is what makes this team great. Is they all love one another. They've all got each other's backs, and you can feel it. It does very much feel like a Hoosier-esque type
Yeah.
team. They play with guts. They play their hearts out and they're sensational. They really are a sensational team. So, anyway, I'm rambling here, but I just want to say this Pacers team has been the most fun team to
Hands
cover since we've been doing this podcast by a landslide. And I love every single personality and player on this team and what they've brought. Even when I've had question marks of why Tony Bradley's in the game and I'm mad about it in game five, thank you, Tony Bradley, for pushing Isaiah Hartenstein again. Thank you, Tony Bradley, for your contributions when Thomas Bryant couldn't do what he did. Thank you, Thomas Bryant, for coming in game six of the Knicks series and hitting three corner threes and just blowing the roof off the ceiling. I mean, my God, like that arena was just unbelievable when he hit those shots. So, Pacer Nation, what a team to be proud of. Win or lose, we're not Jalen Williams. Win or lose, you have a lot to be proud of with this team. But let's win this thing,
Yeah.
Facci.
Yeah.
Pacers in seven. Come on.
Pacers in seven. That's what I've always said. I'm obviously sticking to it. I ain't backing down. We came too far. Look, it ain't gonna be Pacers in eight, nine, 10, or anything like that. Like it's Pacers in seven. This is what it is. This team is special. This is the team that we become old men with and say, it's a good team, but they're not the 2025 Pacers that I remember, where it's like this is a really, really good team that just has it. They share the rock. I saw something like I think they have like 700 more passers, 700 more passes in the series than OKC. The ball movement swings around. They get everyone involved. Like this is team basketball. It's something to be proud of. Let's just finish the job. So, hey, we got less than 24 hours to go between either glory or I don't want to say regret, but we're going to go at 24 hours until glory. I really hope that we get this done. I can't wait until we get it done. And for everyone who's been here along the ride, we got one more left in us. Let's get this job done.
Absolutely, Flashy. So this will be put out on Saturday night. I will also have another episode for you guys on Sunday morning with the guys from the group chat. I'm going to be recording with them momentarily after me and Fachi wrap up here. So just want to let you guys know we are pumping out the content. And if the Pacers win this bad boy, you better just keep setting the pace on loop because we are going to have so much content for you. It's going to be out the wazoo. So I'm looking forward to that if it gets to that, Fachi. But with that being said, if you're hoping that the Pacers can overcome the odds, become the biggest underdog story in NBA history, and defeat the 68 win MVP led Oklahoma City Thunder in game seven, then hit me with those three words.
Let's go, Pacers.